everyone, PushingUpRoses here, and it is time to go on a quest. But first, I must make sure I have the appropriate provisions. Hat? Ah, yes. Perfect. Perfect. Owl plushie. Ah, good, Cedric. Let's just put him away for later. Nectar of the Gods? Ah, yes. Crystal Geyser, natural alpine spring water. I can now feel strength and renewal flowing through me. I'm ready. Let's go. King's Quest is without a question my favorite gaming series. The first game I had ever played was King's Quest III when I was about 4 years old, and as I grew up I wanted to find and play all of them. King's Quest V came in my first bundle pack when I got my first CD-ROM, King's Quest VII was the very first computer game I bought with my own money, and eventually I was given the King's Quest collection as a Christmas gift from my parents. I really do love all of these games, with the exception of Mask of Eternity. I won't be discussing that one as it really has nothing to do with the original lore, and because I just don't like it, so deal with it. In this video, I'd like to show you guys some of my favorite scenes and moments from these games. Let's start at the very beginning, which I am told is a very good place to start. King's Quest I, which was originally made for the PC Junior and published by IBM in 1983. The subtitle, Quest for the Crown, was actually added in a later release in 1987. The game was only known as King's Quest when it came out. This was a major achievement for Ken and Roberta Williams of Sierra, whose previous interactive fiction games were made up of static images and text. This had animation and depth. Holy shit, Sir Graham can walk behind the rock? This was some serious advancement in the world of computer games, even though by today's standards it looks fairly simple. You play Sir Graham, who is trying to help the gravely ill King Edward find 3 magical items that were stolen from the Kingdom of Daventry. Exploring this new, open world was amazing, and there were many instances I can remember being really impressed with, but what still stands out to me even today is planting these magical beans and climbing the beanstalk that leads up to this cloud area, just like Jack. Simply finding the right area to plant the beans and the ridiculously tedious process of climbing up the stalk without dying had me fascinated and giddy. Roll that beautiful beanstalk footage. Oh my god. Oh no. See, this is why I remember this so much. This is exactly why it's going on the damned list. Oh. I also really love the Witch's Edible Candy House, which of course is an homage to Hansel and Gretel. You can eat the fence. And of course there's always the notorious Rumpelstiltskin puzzle that everyone remembers, though I don't recall being charmed by that puzzle, just frustrated. Thanks, Roberta. Following the first game is King's Quest II: Romancing the Throne, released in 1985, aka the best year ever. The premise of this game is quite simple. Graham, now King of Daventry, is lonely and wouldn't mind some romance in his life, and thus you're on a mission to help him find some female companionship. This game is basically one gigantic trope. All of the King's Quest games are, to be honest with you, but this one especially. The old girl in the tower gag. I used to think this was my least favorite King's Quest, but after playing it recently for this review, I found that I enjoyed it more than the first. The map is much easier to navigate with more landmarks to help guide you, and there's a lot of neat aspects of the game I enjoyed. One of them being the fact that in order to complete the game, you need to visit the Castle Dracula. This was legitimately cool to me. You even get to stab him through the heart with a wooden stick. Another thing of note is finding Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother's house, which sometimes will have the wolf in it, presumably having eaten poor grandma, and sometimes on this screen you will see the Batmobile. However, the most striking thing I found was after going through a set of doors that lead you through a portal to another land, and when you get there, bam! Bright exotic colors. A lovely purple-hued waterfall, ridiculously large golden fish that would no doubt make for some tasty fillets. It's quite pretty, and the color palette really makes you feel like you've stepped into a whole new world, so don't you dare close your eyes. Seeing this oddly painted landscape was a nice payoff for having completed the puzzles in the previous land. You spend so much time in the same areas that finding this new one is extremely rewarding, and you feel like you are so close to getting to your goal, which is in fact Valenice. She's been locked up in this tower for God knows how long, but don't worry, she grows up to be a strong, refined woman. Or not. Personally, the first thing I think about when I revisit any of these games is King's Quest III to Err is Human, because it's one of my earliest memories of being on a computer. This is a bit different than the first two games. There's a time mechanic, and you also play as a new character introduced to you as Gwydion, who is being held captive by the evil wizard Manannan. You don't actually know who you are, as you've been held as a slave in this old house on a mountain for 17 years, so it's up to you to figure it out and somehow escape Manannan's confines. A large part of this game is finding inventory items to use for casting spells in the wizard's laboratory. Fun fact, most people don't realize that these portions of the game, which require you to recite and perform spells you can get from the manual, is a partial, though unintentional, form of manual copy protection. Though critics at the time felt the spellcasting was overly complicated and accounted for too much of the game, I rather enjoyed it. I felt like an all-powerful wizard with the ability to change people into cats. The power, the evil power! But my favorite memory is not learning the magic spells, oh no. It is in fact discovering the Three Bears house. Yep, that's right, look at it. The Three Bears! Oh my god, what are they doing there? As a kid, finding something so well known in literature just tickled me. The entire series is known for their references to fantasy and fairy tales, but I didn't know that at the time, so I was psyched. Man, I was proud of myself for just knowing what I was looking at. I recognized something. How clever am I? You could even go inside the house and sit in the chairs, the beds, eat the porridge, and also get the crap kicked out of you by Papa Bear for breaking and entering. It's still such an awesome memory for me because it triggers this extreme nostalgia from when I first played the game as a kid. The Three Bears, come on! Another thing that leads to levels of near peeing myself but not quite there excitement is finding this rope ladder hidden away in a tree. It leads to the bandits' treehouse where you get to steal their money pouch. Man, when I found that ladder, dude, it was life. Oh, King's Quest III, what a trip, what a game. King's Quest IV, The Perils of Rosella, which was released in 1988, is a game that really stands on its own with the introduction of a female protagonist. Though you play as Rosella for half of King's Quest VII, I actually find her to be slightly regressive in that one due to her whiny, petulant nature.
Mother, I'm not ready. There are so many things I haven't done yet. I want to have fun.
I respect her free spirit and aversion to settling, but I can only listen to her whine for so long here. In this game, she is a strong, capable woman who throws herself into a dangerous and possibly fatal journey to help save her father from a life-threatening illness. As a young girl, I lost my father to cancer. I am not ashamed to say that sometimes I would pretend to be Rosella so that I could have the fantasy of saving my own dad from his life-threatening illness. So this game has a special, although melancholy, place in my heart. This title still requires text commands and is not exactly a point and click, but you can control Rosella with the mouse if you choose. The text boxes are updated and the writing is much improved with a lot of character dialogue, and there is actually facial animation and mouth movement. But what's really impressive to me, and something I remember very well, is the fact that this game has a day-night mechanic. I was actually shocked and slightly scared when suddenly I was roaming around this huge, intimidating area in the dark, and there are zombies! Suddenly the atmosphere feels much different. It's actually a bit morose. There's a haunted house in this area in which you have to help the ghosts who once lived there find peace in the afterworld, and of course so you can find the right inventory item to move on. You find yourself having to dig up graves and finding mementos buried within to give to the ghosts, one of whom is just a baby, represented by this chilling animated cradle. There are plenty of serious moments throughout these games, especially in the later ones, but the haunted house is one of my favorites, and at the time it was one of the scariest things I had seen in a King's Quest title. Oh yeah, and did I mention you also need to get swallowed by a whale and climb up its tongue to get out? Yep. It's weird.
Blah!
That concludes part 1 of memorable moments in King's Quest. In our next video adventure, we'll be looking at the later games 5 through 7. See you there!